Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the second episode of Catching Up with the Rafters. If you missed last week's episode with Billy Black, be sure to check out that on our social media pages. But today I want to welcome Austin Heenan as my guest. Austin was the Rafters pitching coach for 2 seasons in 2020 and 2021. He started his collegiate career at Virginia Military Institute before transferring to Salisbury University, where he was an All-American, going 10-4 as a starter with a 2.24 ERA in his 1 year with the Seagulls. Since then, Austin has been on the coaching staff at Salisbury as a pitching coach and recruiting coordinator, and was a part of the Division III National Championship in 2021, and also an appearance in 2022 National Championship game. Most recently, Austin has started the Heenan Elite Camps, where he trains and works with prospective college athletes. Austin, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah, before we talk about your kind of time here in Wisconsin Rapids, I want to set the scene and kind of go back to your playing days and now coaching days at the university. What was the biggest key to a successful season after transferring into a new school?
The biggest thing I think, and I tell this to when we have transfers come in now, is don't try and be the stud of all studs just because you're the new guy transferring in and you're older. Just don't push yourself to be the most popular guy. Just, do what you're supposed to do and let the team and the culture accept you for, really who you are. Don't be anything other than yourself. Me and my roommate, we were both, 1-year transfers. And I think that we kind of established that ourselves and just worked and let our play speak for ourselves, and just, was just cool, nice guys, didn't try to be the awesome popular guy. And, we kind of just fit in right where we were. And, we both ended up loving it. And, we're both really, really tight with our teammates that we graduated with. But, I see that all the time. We bring in a transfer, a D1 transfer, a JUCO, or another D3. And it's like, they're trying to be the awesome guy. So, man, like chill out and just have fun and play the game. And you'll be accepted for your work ethic and the character that you have.
Yeah, so as soon as your playing days were over, you transferred into coaching. Is that something you've always wanted to do?
No. Nope. Nope. I had no plan on doing it. Was finishing up my degree, taking a summer class right down the hall from Coach Braun's office. Was still training, thinking like the indie ball thing was going to be for me. And I went in there and said, "Hey, I've got nothing to do this fall. You need someone to help out with the pitchers." And he said, "Yeah, would love to have you on." I said, "All right, well, I'll have fun with this." And first day of practice, I called my mom, called my girlfriend at the time, said, "I'm done, not doing this indie ball thing. I'm coaching. I love this stuff."
Great. Yeah, I love to hear that. And what did it mean to you to be brought onto a coaching staff for a university that you played for?
Uh, it was weird at first because so many guys that I played with and hung out with, I'm coaching and yelling at guys who the year before I was at their house playing Call of Duty or something. It was weird. But it meant a lot to me with Coach Brown, being a big league pitcher, winning a World Series, and he kind of just handed the staff over to me after my first fall. That first year in the spring, he was just like, "Hey, this is your pitching staff. I trust you. Have at it. I'm not gonna be breathing down your neck. Like, I know what you're doing, and just do your thing." So it meant a lot to me, and I thank him all the time for just letting me take over a staff, because he could easily be like, "Hey, I'm the big league guy. You listen to me."
Mhm.
But he just evaluates guys. We have meetings, and he says, I think he might, give his 2 cents on a certain guy, and then I just go off of that.
Yeah, I was reading an article about the national title, and the head coach had mentioned the one thing he's learned to do over the years is not micromanage his coaches. He allows them the freedom, allows them to be themselves. What is it like being in an environment where you kind of have that freedom and somebody has your back in everything that you do?
It's reassuring.
Yeah.
Especially that year, our hitting coach it was his first year with us. It was his first semester with us. He came in the spring, and he was like, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?" And Coach Brown's like, "No, you do what you do best. You guys, I have you guys here for a reason. Coach." And it makes everything really easy, because you don't have to worry about, well, does he like this drill? Does he not like this drill? he'll tell you if he thinks what you're doing is stupid. He will, and he won't sugarcoat it. He'll let you know. But he really doesn't say anything because the guys are developing really well, and all he does is just say, "Hey, I think this guy could get better at this. Do your thing," and that's it. And it makes it really easy, and it reassures, especially young coaches, that you know what you're doing. The old guy trusts you. He's have fun with it, and do the best you can.
Yeah, and speaking of being a young coach, what have you learned most, especially with just the experience you've had with such a veteran and somebody who's played in the big leagues and that? What have you learned as a young coach about being, kind of that transition of playing into coaching?
Uh, I look back on my first year, and now I tell people, don't try so hard to now be the coach.
Uh,
Don't try and be like, we're not friends anymore,
yeah.
especially if you played with them. You can still have that relationship of, and I still have we have a 6-year guy right now, and we still have that relationship of like, we played with each other. You just have to create boundaries, to a certain level, but don't try and be that guy who's now I'm your coach, you listen to me. They'll listen to you if they respect you, and all you got to do is earn that respect. So just don't force anything out of it.
Yeah, perfect. And I know I mentioned the national championship, but you've also had some great pitchers come through there, 4 All-Americans, a D3 MVP, a perfect game D3 MVP. As a coach, how do you make sure the players are reaching their full potential?
It goes into the, day by day effort and day by day, focus. You know, we have really talented guys. We get some of the most talented in the country at our level. There's no question about that because of, the history and the facilities that we have
Mhm.
here. We're going to attract them. But there's a lot of schools that get a lot of good players. And we've created a culture here, and I know culture is the sexy word that everyone uses, but we break down what our culture is, and we don't have to hold our players accountable very often. Now we do, but guys like Jimmy Atkins and Cameron Hyder, older guys, they have no problem getting in your face and telling you, you're not working the way we expect.
Mm.
If I've seen a freshman this fall, hey, look at a senior. That's not how we do our drill work.
Yeah.
And that kid's only been here for 3 weeks. That's what we expect out of our guys, is hold each other accountable. And when we notice that the mental part of it is a big thing. If we see guys getting down, the greatest thing that was ever told to me, especially as a pitcher during a bullpen, I was getting angry. And I think my dogs are going crazy in the background because I'm doing something. They decide to be loud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was told as a pitcher, are you good enough to get mad?
Mm.
And, it was the craziest question. I use it all the time now. And I guess, I don't know. And it said, no, Roger Clemens is the only pitcher good enough to be mad. 7 Cy Youngs.
Mm.
No one else here is allowed to get mad. If you get mad, you're just going to hold yourself back. And that's kind of, the approach I use is, don't get so mad. Like, this is a game of failure. You're going to struggle. It's normal. And I think we keep harping on that. I think that's what's kind of led to our success, is just keeping guys focused, keeping guys calm, and having an approach every single day to, just improving 1%, 0.5% to 1% better every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And now shifting kind of to your other title as the recruiting coordinator. What does that role look like, and how much has new technology and some of those crazy analytics play a part in that?
Um, being a recruiting coordinator, I've learned is that you use this thing a lot. You use your phone a lot, calling, texting, emailing, social media. That's pretty much been the name of the game, creating relationships, talking. I talk daily with travel ball coaches, high school coaches, other college coaches, all the time. And I think my wife gets a little bit mad because she's trying to talk to me too, and I push her aside sometimes. But and with the analytics side, you know, it's great. It gets you, it does get you a look from afar. But we try to recruit on the feel of the game as much as possible. Now, do I know if a guy's gonna have feel for the game when he gets to college, when everything's speeding up? I have no idea. But I can hope, if they have feel in high school and in travel ball, like they know the game and they're playing to their strengths, then that kind of, plays to the college level, hopefully. So we try not just say, hey, this guy runs a 6.5 60, let's recruit him.
Yeah.
Well, if he doesn't have any barrel control when he's at the plate, and he's swinging for the fences, 0-2, and not protecting the zone, or not knowing how to bunt, or not knowing how to do anything other than just run fast, that guy's not going to fit for us. He's not going to play. So we kind of just try and get as much a feel for the game and feel for the player that they are, not just the analytics.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think that's a huge topic nowadays, especially with, all of these analytics and getting so in depth in that, and, diving into the tablet side of things rather than just looking up and watching the guy play. So I think that's a huge part, especially talking about summer collegiate, which is, developmental and that kind of thing. Shifting over to your time in Wisconsin Rapids, kind of give the story about, how you decided and how you ended up in Wisconsin Rapids for those few summers.
So I DM'd Coach Noto because I saw a tweet going around. You're looking for a summer ball pitching coach job, and I played in the Coastal Plain League, so I know a lot of young coaches will coach in a good summer league and kind of move their way up through there. So I DM'd him on Twitter, talked to him on the phone, sent in my resume, all that kind of stuff. And then everything kind of halted because then COVID came around and everything shut down. So then, I think a week or two into it, he's like, hey, we're going to have a season. All right. It sounds good. No, you're not. No, we're not. We're not playing.
Yeah.
He kept emailing me and texting me, hey, this is the date. And so that's pretty much how I got in with the Rafters. Just phone interviews with Noto. I guess I must have said a few things right. And then he just brought me on.
Yeah, and what was your experience like being a young head coach, seeing some of these guys develop, having experience playing in a summer collegiate league? Just what was that environment like, and what did you learn about kind of yourself and your coaching style those 2 summers?
The first summer, the first week or two, I learned you don't know as much as you thought because I was lucky enough to have guys from really elite programs and pick their brains. What does their coach do with them on a daily basis? I learned so many different drills, so many different, philosophies, just talking to guys and picking their brains. And then, when a couple coaches would call, check in on their guys, Coach Noto would say, hey, talk to this guy. And then I, just through the conversation, just talking. So it kind of humbled me a little bit. But it also it made me realize that I'm pretty good with the relationship aspect, and getting to know different mentalities, different people, different personalities, and how to try and help them develop. A lot of those guys, were so talented that first summer that I could have just said throw strikes and we would have been a great pitching staff still because of how good they were. In the first practice, because we practiced for, I think 2 weeks before the season started just to get guys moving because everyone had been shut down. Coach Noto looked at me and said, don't mess this up after our first bullpen because of how good guys were, So, I learned that I don't have to focus so much on the physical part and just the mentality part. And that really seemed to help a lot of guys. And then when I did have to focus on the physical aspects, that's when I figured it out through talking to Noto, talking with the guys, and kind of figured out where to insert myself and when to take myself out.
Love that. Love that. And currently, you're getting ready for your November 20th showcase for the Heenan Elite Camps. Walk me through how that came about and what your mindset was creating, a camp and showcase like this.
So I go to so many showcase events, so many workouts, so many camps. And it was a conversation one day with my buddy from Wilson College, Johnny Pass. And we were watching, this showcase style event go on. And we're like, this isn't showing us anything. This is like, we're not learning anything from this guy. It's just 4 ground balls to how hard can you throw it so you can get, a certain velocity on your profile. And I was just tired of seeing it because these kids are paying money and not, in my opinion, getting what they should be getting out of it. The most important thing in this game is learning because not everyone knows everything. And if you can just learn every single chance you can, you're going to develop. So now what I've done is I'm trying to design these camps where we're going to do a showcase style event. We're going to have live game action. We'll have showcase, in there. But instead of just 4 ground balls, straight up backhand, forehand, slow roller, and how hard can you throw it, they're going to get 25, 30 reps with our infield coach. And they're going to show off. Can they wrist roll? Can they power feed? Can they head retreat? Can they play through? Can they do all these different motions? But we're also going to teach them how to do it. Then we're going to say do it in front of the coaches. And it's going to be a fast-paced event. A lot of these high school guys don't understand that college is you're moving, baby.
Oh yeah,
you're moving. So we're gonna have these kids moving, and we're gonna have about 9 to 10 schools there, to show off, especially for a lot of these uncommitted 23s. We got JUCO guys coming. It's also especially at this time, it's to help these kids find a home. We'll be videotaping for those guys, getting them video from the live game action, and so that way we can send it out for them. And also, not gonna lie. 24s and 23s. I'm here. My hitting coach is going to be our infield coach. If we see a guy, we're going to snack him. So, it's a little bit like our own prospect, like my own prospect camp in a way.
Yeah.
But it's also trying to do the best for the kids and stop wasting their time and their money at an event that doesn't really help them.
Yeah. And what does it mean to you to be able to help these prospective college athletes? Again, you talk about the JUCO, you talk about kind of your journey and how you ended up where you were. Just what does it mean to be able to help and showcase these athletes?
I didn't really understand what it kind of meant. But then when I finally look back at all my coaches, and then I went back through like my wedding list of our wedding guest list. Who did I invite? And it was the people that I didn't like the most when I played for them. It was the ones who did what was best for me, no matter how I felt about it. And so I'm not these kids' coaches. I'm not one of their coaches, but how can I still help them? And the greatest text I've ever gotten from a recruit or a prospective athlete that I worked with that I didn't get was, thank you so much for setting me up for success. I've gotten that a few times, and me personally, I know that I made an impact on that kid's life by helping them get on a successful track. And I've worked with kids outside of baseball, just in their personal life, just helping them, giving them advice when things get hard from back home. My mom, she teaches still, my grandmother, so they call Austin. Maybe he has some advice for you as, a young athlete dealing with stuff. And there's nothing better than helping the person next to you in your life. And, one of my coaches one time said the quality of your life is measured by the impacts on others. And that's how I try to live my life. Sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm bad at it, but I try to do my best with it. And managing all different things. But it means a lot if 5 kids get signed at that event. That's 5 people that we might have helped in some way, and we might have 0 with it, and we're not gonna ask for credit that you got signed at our event. We don't care about that. I could care less if you thank us and tag us. Thank you, but we're not asking for it. We just want you going to where you're going to fit in.
Yeah, I love that. And just kind of browsing on your website, I kind of saw the mention all players will learn something at my camps. I think that is huge. Whether it's even just learning, how to communicate with different coaches and being able to put together yourself on the field is huge for all players. Austin, before I let you go, before we go, I'm ending this series with kind of your favorite memory about Wisconsin Rapids, anything from those 2 summers that kind of stuck out to you that you hold on forever?
There's so many great memories. But I think my favorite memory was, and I can't remember which game it was. It was right at the end of the season, my first summer, and it was actually with the person that you did the first interview.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Black. Billy Black, I love the kid to death. He struggled that first summer. He struggled with a lot of different things. And we worked day in and day out trying to figure out what's going to work best for him. And I think we were in the 8th inning of the last game of the season, or maybe second to last. And he came out and just shoved for like 6, 7 innings. I mean, it was the best it was one of the best performances of the summer. And immediately after he came off the mound, he came up and just gave me a hug and said, "Thank you." And, you know, that meant so much to me because of the struggles that he had that first summer. He had some rough outings, and when I joke with him, I used to joke with him about some of them, just picking on him. But when he came off that mound, the joy that he had, he finally had fun with the game for that summer. And the hug and just said thank you. And then that meant the world to me, because it's easy for someone to shove for the entire summer and at the end of the summer say thank you. But someone who really struggles and then is able to go out on top with a great outing, saying thank you right there meant the world to me.
Yeah, I love that, and good connection that we just spoke with him about some of that stuff as well. Well, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Myself, the listeners appreciate it, and truly, we wouldn't be able to have a season without our coaches who take time out of their summer, their colleges to come spend time with us. So thank you for coming out here for those few summers, and hopefully you'll learn or keep some of those memories forever. Everyone out there listening, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catching Up with the Rafters. We'll be back next week with another former Rafter. Until then, roll Rats.
Roll Rats.